have Ms Tanuja Gomes amongst us. She is CEO of Furtardos Music. I must say a very charming on-screen presence, full of life. And on that positive note, I would like to ask you, how has the last 1 year been, both professionally as well as personally for you?
I think for anybody in this world, the last 1 year has been a set of, rediscovery, and there's a lot of gratitude for that. Same goes with me. Our entire business transformed. We were a completely offline business, as for everybody, the name suggests, Furtardos School of Music. We were, we were bringing the joy of music education. And from a complete offline business to moving to complete online business. So there has been a huge transition. That's professionally. So it's like literally starting a business all over again. And personally, I must confess, one of the biggest tick marks that has happened in my life is मुझे थोड़ा kitchen के बारे में पता चला है. I have not been, I've got to know my whereabouts in the kitchen. I always thought people who made cupcakes were like right up there. I was like, wow, they were really conquering something big in life. After my few attempts, I feel, okay, it is not as difficult as I thought it was. So that is one big discovery for me.
Right. We have all discovered our hidden talents and interests this lockdown. So talking about interests.
I don't think it's my talent, but yeah. Yes.
So when we talk about interests, how did you gravitate towards something like music?
This question is asked, and the people, of course, I'm extremely passionate about music, but I must confess that I was always more passionate about building something. I think the word entrepreneurship, the word meant a lot more to me. My father is Hindi, my mother is Gujarati. I did banking for 16 years. Probably that explains why at some point of time I really felt I needed to build something. And more importantly, I wanted to build something impactful. I could have done a finance thing or some other lots of ideas that keep coming. But I wanted to build something which was impactful. My family is into the music retail stores, so that my husband's family. And it made a lot of logical sense for us to build future learners for our country. And that's how my journey started, with the support of my family and my business partner and my co-founder, Dharani Upadhyay.
Right. So when we talk about any enterprise, there are always a set of challenges. When we talk about your journey in particular, what were the challenges you encountered and how did you overcome them?
I think we need a very lot of time for that. But I feel it first starts with you yourself believing in your dream. Then you feeling the first proof of concept, then making your dream bigger. And getting the whole world and galvanizing the whole world in your dream. There's a lot of momentum required, and you can't tire down. See, you can't ever tire down or doubt. So I think that is the biggest challenge or opportunity for you to grow. So there's a lot of learning and relearning. I've done my master's in marketing, but the digital marketing, the space now to what I had done and what it is very different. It's relearning all of that. Then it's building a product journey. I did not have a tech background. I took up a lot of courses on Coursera and stuff like that to relearn what is product development, the tech part. And I'm proud to say that a lot I've learned in the last 2 years in the tech space and the journey there. So, these are some of the challenges and these are some of how I overcome them.
Right. I'm also from a non-tech background, but here we are speaking on a software and operating it. So talking about challenges that one has to go through as a lady entrepreneur, what were the challenges you saw that were unique to you that your male counterparts did not have to face at all?
One of the challenges that women entrepreneurs do face, and it's a global data about funding. Okay, only 3% of women-led companies get funded. I must confess, it was not as challenging for me in some ways, like when I speak to my other women entrepreneurs in different forums. But yes, I feel the constant challenge is to share your dream and your mission. when a woman entrepreneur shares that she wants to build a unicorn or she wants to build something really big, she has to really work very hard to convince people. Another challenge sometimes is this whole space, right? Music to people looks like, acha hobby hai, matlab, how big can it grow? While the fact is the whole extracurricular space is a huge space. I mean, if you look around you, you will hardly know any students who are not doing, or who are at least doing 2+ more activities outside their education. So that is the opportunity, and we know that music education is extremely empowering. There are huge benefits of learning music, the whole right brain, left brain. There's a lot of research. So in that sense, we have a product which is going to last and help the students for their lifetime. And that product we want to take into every household. So that's the opportunity. But yeah, in the word music and music education sounds it's not as sexy, it's not like disruptive word in that sense.
Yes, soft skills are what sails us through life after we have finished our education. That is what will take us further. Since we're talking about women in the entrepreneurial space, where do you think we are lacking as a society? Is it a fault in our education system? Is it the way we are brought up? Or is it just the very environment which is an innovation to people who don't even want to be misogynistic but tend to be under peer pressure, so to say?
Frankly, you've given the answer. I think women at a very early age are conditioned with dependency. Even if you look at our fairy tales, it's some male coming and rescuing the women, right? Cinderella was rescued, Snow White was rescued. I think that's the whole conditioning of the environment, whether it is finance, technology, entrepreneurship, many, many women that I speak to, sometimes their journey starts by default, not a thought-through process, because the environment probably did not sow that seed. So I think those are the barriers that women face. Having said that, I feel women are right now the most empowered. I mean, I work with a lot of women colleagues, and I genuinely believe the kind of commitment and passion that a woman entrepreneur or even a woman colleague brings in is by far something I respect the most. So challenges happen, everything, but I think that's what makes us all get up. If there is somebody who can multitask 100%, it is a woman. That I guarantee.
Yes, even these days when we are talking about a more egalitarian society, it is the lady of the house who has to handle the work, if she chooses to work, and the domestic space as well, more or less. So getting back to Furtardos School of Music. Music has been an art form in India and all over the world for centuries now. How are you standing out from all the other players that are already there in the market?
That's a great question. If you look at like a healthy, holistic diet for a child, when I say diet, I mean to say exposure for a child, academics, sports, music are the key things that will come up in any research. Okay. So it is established that music helps the students. Now let's look at how are we different. We're probably the only company, and you can Google it across, definitely in India and across in our two borders, who has a product proposition for all types. So we have a proposition for the 2-year-old, which is created by some of the best experts in the world. We have a proposition from 8 to 15, and we have a proposition from 15 to 80 or whatever age you want to learn up to. And the whole curriculum has been created. A lot of technology is used. So I think the USP of the whole FSM is not just bringing music to you in a fun way. I have a lot of statistics or data to share that how we've helped in the current times. I think the biggest is we've also optimized technology. When you're playing, we can actually do an assessment whether you're playing it correctly. There's a software that can tell you. So all this kind of builds a unique and fun learning journey for our students. So I think that's the key differentiation. We have partnership with schools. Now online, we're teaching to students ranging from US, UK, Ireland, UAE, Of course, India. So that's the exciting part today. We are also learning culturally from all those students of ours.
Right. Yes, it's a cosmopolitan world with inclusivity being the burning buzzword these days. So including
Correct.
all the age groups is a very good idea. As they say, catch them young,
Yes.
as young as you can.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And it's good for them. I'm sorry, I just want to add one thing. We did a research recently wherein for all people who picked up music instrument with us in the last 1 year in the pandemic, and we've gone back with experts to survey and find out that how does it help them in the mental wellness, and truly did it make any difference. We've had over 100 respondents and not a single one has said no. 100% of our respondents have said that the whole picking up music has helped them. Okay. So, and there was a whole detailed stuff that we've researched with them, but it's just mind-boggling for me. It is reassurance that how music is really helping everybody and all the immense benefit that it has.
Right, mental health is of course the foremost. It's of foremost importance these days, given that we are all in a lockdown state where our mind over matter has to prevail. So, talking about Furtado music again, given that it is doing excellent work as of now, where do we see it 5 years down the line?
I have a business plan, but our key focus would be the whole online expansion. We've tasted blood in terms of the kind of scale that this can achieve. Our teachers sitting in, Dehradun, Kalimpong, Nagaland, and actually having a very good livelihood by rendering classes to somebody sitting in US. This shows the whole opportunity that is there in this space that it can grow. We strongly believe that you will see music becoming a good part of each child growing up. It was always required. Our tradition, India, culture always had it. You will see that now becoming something that parents will pursue strongly. So if you ask us what's the future is how every child should have access to music education. Where do we see ourselves? We will continue growing in the online space. We have a very strong proposition with schools as well. We've created a content SaaS product so schools can have access to the entire curriculum in any part of India, and we can train their teachers to deliver a very good learning experience. So that's what we see. Two major focus areas for us.
Right. You mentioned that you have transitioned heavily to the online space. But when we talk about something like music, India thrives on the Guru Shishya Parampara, so to say. How do you see the future of music and soft skills once COVID is a thing of the past? Are we going to continue with the online platform, or is it going to resume on the offline mode?
Excellent. You're absolutely right about where India and our Guru Shishya, the whole methodology. But frankly, that is predominant into when you get into specialization. See, it's like today when you want to go and you're doing an MBA, you get into a classroom, you get into a different platform, you learn all the subjects. Eventually, when you want to do PhD and the kind of specialization, that requires far more intensity, and therefore you will get deeper, and the kind of number of hours that you will give in as very different. So what you're saying applies when you really want to take music professionally, but in terms of exposure, in terms of getting the basic, your wiring, your cognitive skills and all of that, having this whole online methodology works. You will see students wanting to get back to school. There's no doubt. I have a 9-year-old and I can't wait for the school to begin. But the convenience of learning, like this online will supersede. That's something that we felt. Even when the whole lockdown was just coming off, where we all got euphoric very much early, not correctly, November, December, Jan, many parents reached out to us that can we do physical classes? Let's start. We said, okay, fine. If our teachers want to come, why not expose? Why not do it? When we actually went about, most of the parents said, online acha chal raha hai, let's continue online. So that's why, again, it brings us to the point that convenience will matter. When the child is giving some Trinity examination of higher grades with us, it will matter that the child is physically there in the center. But to a particular level, you can really scale it.
Yes, the reach of online is certainly a lot more than offline, and especially these days when we talk about EdTech, and I would like to include music classes in that as well. It is just booming during the COVID.
Absolutely.
So
we've launched a platform.
Sorry, please.
We've launched a platform called FSM Buddy. So the whole branding of this whole online is FSM Buddy, www.fsmbuddy. Where not only music, we've also added some other right brain development activities for our customers. Just from that perspective that, if you're looking for more, we've had access to the right ecosystem and teachers and understand the pedagogy. We've also offered those. Dance, drama, but all in creative arts, performing space.
When we talk about online music classes, can you tell us something about how Furtado Music is collaborating with schools or even colleges across the country to provide them online music sessions, and what would be your outreach and business model?
Okay, so before COVID, we had about 200 schools whom we had partnered with. Where we had 75,000 students, where we are actually going to these 200 schools and they would outsource their music education to us. So one is, we've actually reached out to all those 200 schools, and many schools continue their online music journey with us. So that's one model. We have not really reached the college model. I mean, there is this thought keeps coming to us. Very often people come and tell us also that why don't we do something with colleges and stuff like that. I think it's just about bandwidth and focus right now. So there's so much happening. So we've not developed that. We do have partnership with Berklee College of Music, Trinity College London. We have a very strong association. So these partnerships also help us getting into specialization. We recently launched a product with Berklee for all our students, just a specialized product for them to further enhance their journey. So yeah, I mean, these are the areas that we're working on, and we will continue to do that. So for the students who want exposure, we have a particular product. For the students who really want to dig deep and really want to excel and master, we have a particular product.
Right, these are all very world-renowned schools of music, famous world over, and I'm not a music person, and yet I know about them. So we would love to have this discussion further, but we are running out of time. So before I let you go for the day, I would like to ask you, what would be your advice for entrepreneurs coming up during the pandemic period or pre or post-pandemic period, especially in the soft skills vertical?
In the
soft skills vertical, music vertical, so to say.
Okay. These are it's a tough phase right now because you don't get to see your team members, right? I mean, you move a mountain with help of people, right? So we are literally starting a business in the pandemic time is like moving a mountain. So I feel that in a way the positive out of this is processes. This is the time when any startup or any company has to look at their processes. Like, what is your customer journey? What is your CRM platform? How are you getting that data? I feel these processes help you work and navigate in the remote, the whole remote working space, because you're not sitting beside them. Usually what happens is at workplace, you go and say, chalo, idea hai, ye execute karna hai, ye karte hai, wo karte hai. Here you will have to, you're dependent, and communication takes time. If you ask me, I find that sometimes very, that's what I find it challenging. Oh God, now I want to reach out to somebody at 12 o'clock in the night. I know this is not, we all are overworking. At the same time, because you're not meeting them in office, sometimes the urgency of the matters gets delayed. So if you ask me, this is the time to brilliantly put your processes. How can you use system? Like we've moved to Slack. We're moving to such kind of technology, work fast, these kind of things where all actionables are laid out. So you could be working anywhere in the world. This is what your delivery is. These are your timelines. This is how the communication will work. We moved to Slack. One of the things that I personally like that is because on WhatsApp, you're all official, you're all personal, so it is also stressful for our employees. So after a particular point, they can cut off. Then you don't need to constantly be on Slack. So these are few things that companies can imbibe in the current times, again, repeat its processes, taking a distance and looking at your customer journey. That's what we did, and that's what really helped us. And when you do something in a challenging time, you're only going to be more resilient. That's why they say, no, like an Indian can, if you know how to drive in India, you can drive anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So it's like starting something in the current time. It's like starting your business in the current time. It is not easy for all of us. I mean, it looks, it looks from far, it looks all good and rosy, but every entrepreneur, today the biggest challenge is to ensure that your team is safe. So, and that empathy part. At the same time, you know that your business has to keep going, right? That's the challenge, but we all enjoy that. That's what we enjoy, right? That's what we build and we create.
Right, ma'am. So yes, people-to-people contact has been the backbone of human civilization, and I don't think we can get rid of it anytime soon. So on that thought, I would like to take your leave for the day, Tanuja Gomes, and thank you so much for taking our time to interview with us. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you, Urvi. Thank you for this call. Bye.